Hi guys, how are you today? Let's start our lesson for today. In our previous lesson, we learned a number of pricing policies. And today, in this screen capture video lesson, we are going to have a look of the elasticity of demand. So let's start from the learning objectives. Our learning objectives are to know what makes products either elastic or inelastic, to understand the significance, determinants, and the problems of measurement of price elasticity of demand, to be able to use the price elasticity coefficient to show the effects of price change or total revenue. First, think about the prices that different businesses can charge for almost identical products here. So you are going to buy a piece of jewelry, put this business in the order you think they would charge from cheapest to the most expensive. So let's start from the definition of price. And price refers to what the customer will pay for a product. This usually represents their perceived value of the product or service. Let's look at elasticity concept. Elasticity is the responsiveness of one variable to change in another. When price rises, what happens to demand? Of course, demand falls, right? But how much does demand fall? If prices rise by 10%, what happens to demand? You know, demand will fall, but by more than 10% or by less than 10%. Elasticity measures the extent to which demand will change. And now let's look at price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of demand to change in price. Where a change in demand is greater than change in price, it's called elastic. And where the change in demand is less than change in price, it's called inelastic. Here is the formula of a price elasticity of demand. And using this formula, you have to calculate it. And if answer is between 0 and -1, the relationship is inelastic. If the answer is between -1 and infinity, the relationship is elastic. The calculation is really easy to use. You just need to remember that quantity is always the top value and price is the bottom. Usually people are confused calculating these examples. For example, this one is elastic or inelastic. Let's look at this example. Apple cut prices of their iPads by 10%, but demand only increases 5%. Would this be a good decision? So in order to decide is it good or not, we have to calculate it using our previous formula. So the result is equal to minus 0.5%. Is it elastic or inelastic? Of course, it is inelastic, right? Because what? The answer is between 0 and -1. And you have to always remember that nearly all price elasticity of demand results are negative. Therefore, it's common to ignore the minus sign. For example, look at this picture. So here, minus 0.60, which means inelastic. And when we look at minus 1.67, it is elastic. The demand curve can be a range of shapes, each of which is associated with a different relationship between price and the quantity demanded. Here, total revenue is calculated like this formula. Price is multiplied by the quantity sold. In this example, total revenue is equal to £5 multiplied by 100,000. And it's equal to 500,000 pounds, right? And this value is represented by the gray shaded rectangle here. If the firm decides to decrease price to say £3 here, and the degree of price elasticity of the demand curve would determine the extent of the increase in demand and the change, therefore, in total revenue. Before this was the total revenue, and now it's changed to this side. And look at this graph also. Here, producer decides to lower price to attract sales. So before it was £10, and then it's changing to, it is reducing their price from £10 to £5. And it's what decreased to 50% in price. And look at this quantity demanded. Here, what from 5 to 6 only changed, and what quantity demanded was increased to only 20%. So price elasticity of demand is equal to minus 0.4, and according to our formula and according to our rule, it's called as inelastic. So total revenue would fall, but not good move, right? Here, very small. And look at this example. Producer decides to reduce price to increase sales. So before it was £10, and now it's reducing to £7 in price. So changing in price is equal to 30%. But look at this quantity demanded. So before it was 5, and now it's what? Increased to 20. So it's the change in demand is equal to 300%. So using our formula, price elasticity of demand is equal to minus 10. So it's more than minus 1, more than 1, so it's elastic. Total revenue rises, and it's good move, right? From 5 to 20. So it's elastic. Here, look at this one. If demand is price elastic, increasing price would reduce total revenue. Reducing price would increase total revenue. If demand is price inelastic, then increasing price would increase total revenue, and reducing price would reduce total revenue. Do now, what do the following diagrams show? So in our first diagram, you can see the demand curve for an elastic good, and in our second diagram, you can look at the demand curve for an inelastic good, because what changes are very small, and here changes are very high. What does this mean? It means that if the demand for a product varies a lot with price, it's price elastic, and if the demand for a product stays constant, whatever the price, it is price inelastic. And how do demand and price relate? So we have law of demand, right? We already studied it before. And using your knowledge of the law of demand and price elasticity, you have to identify and explain whether you think the following products have elastic or inelastic demand. So you have to take your notebooks, and you have to write it, and you have to send it by edu page. So this good is elastic or inelastic. And what about this? This one, cigarette. So you have to write your answers, and you have to send it by edu page. I will wait it until next lesson. So what do the results show? You have to think first, and here what use this business terms when you're writing your answers. So if price elasticity of demand is equal to 0, demand is perfectly inelastic. and demand doesn't change at all when the price changes. If price elasticity of demand is between 0 and 1, or in other words, the change in demand from A to B is smaller than the percentage change in price, then demand is inelastic. You have to take a note this sayings. If price elasticity of demand is more than 1, then demand responds more than proportionately to a change in price. In other words, demand is elastic. For example, if a 10% increase in the price of a good leads to 30% drop in demand, the price elasticity of demand for this price change is -3. But what makes a good price elastic? Well, the main reason is that there are plenty of alternatives, like substitutes, that a consumer can turn to if your prices become too high for them. For example, Pepsi and Cola, we can give us an example. But what makes a good price inelastic? Well, the main reason is that there are very few alternatives that a consumer can turn to if your prices become too high for them. A good example is petrol. We still buy it even if prices are high, as we need it to run our cars, right? And it's time to finish now. That's all for today. Test your understanding on EduPage. I prepared for you multiple choice questions there. And thank you for attention. Thank you for your attention now. See you.